The Philadelphia Eagles rookies have really been impressive as of late, as we're now over a week into training camp, and multiple of these guys are consistently seeming to make plays and getting better with each and every practice, and recently it has started to seem like maybe one of these guys has a realistic chance to start in their first season. Plus, on top of that, we have some really big news in regards to the Eagles running back situation, with one guy in particular recently making headlines. And to add on to that, Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown continue to dominate during practice, and finally, we also had a couple injury scares at practice recently, one of them involving Nakobe Dean. And speaking of Dean, how has he fared to start off camp? Well, we're going to talk all about that in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. Eagles training camp has really been heating up in recent days, and with each practice, it just seems like we get an overwhelming amount of information about how the team is doing, what players are really performing well, and how certain positional battles are going. Plus, we have press conferences happening constantly, and a lot of information comes out of those as well, so it's safe to say that the start of Eagles training camp has not only been eventful, but it also has allowed us to get a lot better of an idea of what to expect from this team as we get closer and closer to the 2023 season. Now, the Eagles just had their 5th practice of camp on Thursday, and it's their first of back-to-back practices, so probably as you're watching this video, the Eagles are back practicing once again, but we can't skip past Thursday's practice, as once again, we got a ton of information from it, and there's really a lot to talk about. So let's start with the safety position, as obviously safety is without a doubt one of the Eagles' biggest positions of question as we progress through training camp, and there very clearly is a competition going on for one of the 2 starting spots. Now, it seems like one of those spots is pretty much locked up, as second-year player Blankenship has been getting all the first-team reps at safety throughout this entire camp so far, and from the information that's out there, he's looked pretty good, and it really does seem like he's done a fantastic job stepping into this new role after being an undrafted free agent rookie last season. So, personally, I'm excited to see how Blankenship performs. I think he has a lot of talent. I liked what I saw from him and the opportunities that he got last year, and now obviously he's going to have a lot bigger of an opportunity this year, and again, I just can't wait to see how he performs in that new role. But as I said earlier, the other safety spot is open, and there's multiple guys that are competing for it. Now, a couple guys have already got their chance to play alongside Blankenship at camp by getting first-team reps, but one guy that a lot of people were really excited about coming into camp was rookie safety Sydney Brown, and he had yet to get his opportunity to run with the first team, but that changed on Thursday's practice, as according to Thomas R. Peterson, Sydney Brown was getting the first-team reps at safety alongside Blankenship, which I absolutely love to see. I mean, I think Sydney Brown has the potential to turn into a really good player and a leader for this defense eventually if he's given that opportunity. I believe this because Sydney Brown has the right attitude and mindset, and this is a guy who has had to work for everything that he's gotten up to this point. I mean, there was a period of his childhood where he was living in a homeless shelter with his family, so to get from there to where he is now, I mean, he's definitely earned it. Now, do I think he'll actually end up starting? I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I still would probably say no, but him getting first team reps is obviously a good sign that he's going to have a chance to compete for it. But Brown isn't the only rookie who turned heads on the 5th practice of camp, as a few others made their presence felt as well, starting with cornerback Kelee Ringo, who apparently had a pass breakup on a pass intended for Devontae Smith in the red zone that apparently he almost intercepted, which would have been Jalen Hurts' first interception of training camp, so that was definitely a flash of promise from the rookie, and that's something that you love to hear. And now moving on here, we also have some other news on another rookie, and that rookie is Jalen Carter, as during Thursday's practice, he had a pretty big test, as according to Martin Frank, he took a rep against Lane Johnson and then followed that up by matching up against Jordan Mailata. Now, he didn't get very much push on either one of these reps, but Frank notes that this is, quote, quite an education for Carter, and this is actually a very good point, because think about it. What better way for Jalen Carter to learn than by going up against the best of the best? I mean, how lucky is he not only to be able to play alongside some incredible players on the defensive line, but also to match up against the best O-line every single day in practice? I mean, that'll only make him better and help him in his development. Now, finally, one more rookie who made some headlines was Nolan Smith, as according to Brendan Deeg, he was getting reps at off-ball linebacker, which we also heard about earlier in camp. Now, don't get me wrong, Smith is definitely a versatile player, and he's capable of dropping back into coverage at times, like a Hassan Reddick, but he still is very much a pass rusher first. And look, don't worry, the Eagles know this. They're not going to switch his position, and I think that this is more just about getting Smith reps in a number of different spots and seeing how he fares. I mean, right now they're really just evaluating everybody, and Nolan Smith has a very unique skill set, and I'm sure that they just want to see what he's capable of in these different spots. So yeah, again, don't expect a position switch for Nolan Smith at any point, but it is definitely cool that the Eagles trust him this much and that they're also trying to use him in a variety of different ways. And he isn't the only guy that the Eagles are set to use in a variety of ways, as one offensive player in particular was the talk of camp on Thursday, and don't worry, we're going to get into that and much more, but just real quick here, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe subscribed to the channel. Around 80% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. If you're one of those people, you've been consistently watching the videos, you're enjoying them, you love the Philadelphia Eagles, and you like videos like this covering Eagles training camp, make sure you fix that right now. Go subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss when any other videos are uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us. And now with that being said, let's get back into the video. So one particular Eagle that has been really interesting to follow as camp has got going here is DeAndre Swift, and that's because he has a very unique skill set for his position, and if that skill set is utilized correctly, he can be a legitimate weapon for the Eagles offense this year. And Nick Sirianni certainly seems to agree, as when asked what he thought of Swift so far throughout camp, this is what he said.
He's a playmaker, and he's really shown, I think what we've really seen is that you're going to be able to move him around multiple spots because of his ability, not only with his athletic ability and his quickness in and out of breaks and his speed, but also the way he catches the football is, you know, it looks like a wide receiver catching the football out there. So credit to him, just what he was blessed with, but also the work that he's put in to continue to develop his hands. So, you know, so he can be a dual threat running back.
So that's clearly some very high praise for Swift from Sirianni, specifically regarding Swift's receiving ability, and it certainly sounds like Coach Nick Sirianni and the Eagles have been very impressed by what they've seen from Swift throughout the offseason and specifically at camp so far, as he's continued to make plays both on the ground, speaking of which he just had a big 20-yard touchdown run on Thursday after Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson cleared a big hole for him, according to E.J. Smith. But Swift also continues to make plays in the passing game, and he's been showing off his versatility really all camp. And as Sirianni said, that ability that Swift has as a receiver is an absolute gift at the running back position, and that's definitely something that the Eagles are going to want to take big advantage of during the season. So it's going to be interesting to hear about all the different ways that the Eagles use Swift throughout the rest of camp, and then eventually see it when the season begins, and I'm sure that he'll perform at a high level when that time comes. But speaking of performing at a high level, we got to talk about what Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are doing at camp right now, as their connection has been on point this entire training camp period, and they've just both absolutely been on fire, particularly Jalen Hurts, who has yet to throw an interception during camp. And as Elliott Shore-Parks noted, it's surprising when Jalen Hurts throws an incompletion at this point, as he had another great day on Thursday, going 8 for 12 while starting the day 6 for 6. And as I said, Jalen Hurts' connection with A.J. Brown has been great all camp, and it's making some people think that there's potentially another level that those two can get to next year. And reporter E.J. Smith took note of that, saying, quote, "It's hard to imagine the Jalen Hurts-A.J. Brown connection getting much better in its second year, but early returns from training camp suggest it could." So, I mean, it's definitely great to hear that some people think that connection could be even better. I mean, it was pretty much unstoppable last year, so if there's a way that they could get better from that, it should scare the entire NFL. Now, speaking of A.J. Brown, I mean, this is very interesting. He apparently got some reps returning kicks at practice Thursday, along with Britton Covey, Rashaad Penny, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. So, I mean, this is definitely going to be something to watch. Kick and punt returns were something that the Eagles did struggle with last year, so maybe they could be looking to shake it up a little bit at returner. And out of that group, I do think it's safe to say that A.J. Brown's definitely not going to be returning kicks next year. I mean, he's way too important for the Eagles offense, and obviously that's just a huge risk, so I highly doubt that the Eagles would even consider doing that. But I do think out of that group, someone to watch would be Rashaad Penny, as he had a lot of success returning kicks in college, having 7 kick return touchdowns in his collegiate career. So who knows, maybe Penny does end up in that role when the season begins, but then again, you do have to think about potential injuries when it comes to him, so maybe it's just better for him to stay away from that altogether. But speaking of injuries, the Eagles did actually have a couple injury scares at Thursday's practice, starting with all-pro cornerback James Bradberry, who appeared to go into the tent for a minute with the trainers, but shortly after he was back out of the tent and he returned to practice, so nothing to be concerned about there. And then another guy who went off with an apparent injury is Nakobe Dean, who went into the medical tent early in practice, then he came out of the tent and watched the rest of practice, but he did not participate, so that definitely had some Eagles fans worried. But we do have good news, as it appears he's going to be alright, because an Eagles employee said, quote, "He's fine," according to Jeff McLean, so that's definitely good to hear that he's fine and it's nothing serious. But speaking of Dean, how has he performed at camp so far? Because, I mean, we really haven't heard much from him in terms of making plays on the field since camp began. We've had a countless amount of people praise his work ethic and the way he stepped into this new role and how he's been as a play caller, but we haven't heard too much about him from an on-the-field standpoint in terms of making plays, so it's been kind of hard to gauge how his camp has been going so far. Well, Elliott Shore-Parks gave us a general idea, as he put out a tweet on Thursday saying, quote, "Not a good start to camp for Nakobe," which obviously that's not great to hear. I mean, Nakobe Dean is going to be a key player for this Eagles defense in 2023, so you want to hear that he's doing well in training camp rather than disappointing a little bit. However, it is still important that we remember that this is only training camp. We can't overreact to anything, even the good performances, which maybe it seems like I'm doing that a little bit, but whatever, I don't care. But regardless, I'm still confident that Nakobe Dean is going to have a good year. I mean, he's got the talent, he's flashed that in the opportunities that he's had so far in this league, and I'm sure that he'll be just fine. It's just a big adjustment for him, and I'm sure he'll turn things around eventually. So again, not worried at all, but what do you guys think? Are you worried about Nakobe Dean's apparent struggles to start off camp? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And speaking of that, just let me know your thoughts on anything that I talked about in this video. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on anything that I mentioned, anything that's been going on at Eagles training camp. So again, leave a comment down below. And also, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like to show some support, and also subscribe so you don't miss others like it coming in the future. As you can see, this is not my usual recording setup. I'm currently in the car at about 1 a.m. because I'm on my second vacation in the past couple weeks. I'm actually at the mountains right now. The internet's not great up here, so making videos might be a little bit harder. I'm still going to try to get some videos out for you guys during this long weekend. I'm not going to be here for very long, but if I end up missing a day here, or maybe I upload a short on a day when maybe it could have been a full-length video, I hope you guys understand. Still, I'm going to try my best to give the best possible content while I'm here, so again, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. And also, if you want to watch another video talking about how Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith have been dominating at camp so far, plus other Eagles training camp news, you can go watch it right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.